Welcome back to America's Forum right here on Newsmax TV. I'm John Bachman.
And I'm J.D. Hayworth. During the break, we were kind of discussing different words that come into vogue, and my young friend here made an incredible admission. You are a man only in your mid-30s, but you have been called a curmudgeon?
Yes, an old soul, JD. In college, some of my buddies used to call me Pops because I would go to bed early and wake up early and had other issues that would be assimilated with a man of a certain age. Maybe I'm sharing a little bit too much here, but I can be a little bit cranky in the morning, and at that time of day, I've been known to be referred to as Mr. Prickles by some in the house. So.
Well, now we want to ensure domestic tranquility, and I'm certainly not as cosmetically challenged as I am. I'm certainly not one to cast any aspersions. However, I do note the salt and pepper in your hair. That gray, I'm sure, connotes wisdom.
Exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
And stress of having a child, that's where it started to show up. As
Well,
you can relate to that.
the weird thing in my house, my hair gets darker, and no, it's not out of a bottle. At any rate, we're going to talk curmudgeons with another self-confessed curmudgeon who has written The Curmudgeon's Guide to Getting Ahead, Do's and Don'ts of Right Behavior, Tough Thinking, Clear Writing, and Living a Good Life by best-selling author and social historian Charles Murray, that actually demystifies the rules of life. Here are some of the rules. Excise the word like from your spoken English, like Maynard G. Cribbs, like in the old days used to do and others do now. Number 2, don't suck up. Number 3, stop reaching out and sharing. We might have just done that earlier here. Number 4, rid yourself of piercings, tattoos, and weird hair colors. And then make strong language count. Okay, and strong language may be language of passion, perhaps not four-letter words. At any rate, to elucidate us on his new book, it's Charles Murray Skyping in. Charles, thank you so much, and welcome to America's Forum.
I'm delighted to be here.
Now, Charles, 2 decades ago, when I was a newcomer to Congress, we held you up as the architect of welfare reform. That was then, this is now. It appears you're trying to reform the outlook of young people in terms of rules for modern life. How on earth did this book come about?
Oh, it started out with the American Enterprise Institute staff. Excuse me. They're young interns and research assistants. And we have a website only for the staff, and I started giving out these tips because a lot of college-age kids who first come into the workplace don't understand that a lot of the people who can promote them or fire them have a lot of prejudices about the way they behave. So I'm letting them in on some of the ways in which curmudgeons like me are judging them.
Well, is it so much being a curmudgeon, or has this just been a generational affliction since the dawn of man? We always look to the younger generation and say, gee, they're just unrefined, they're not as smart. How much of that is just the process of us escalating demographic groups or aging, and how much of it is legitimate in terms of the here and now and skills for the 21st century?
Well, the difference is that curmudgeons today are closeted. They don't reveal themselves. 50 years ago, if a senior person in an organization didn't like something that a 22-year-old was doing, he or she would just tell him. Now, of course, that's very judgmental. And we also, we meaning baby boomers, hate to be seen as old and out of date. We've hated that since we were 25 years old. And so we just don't tell them that we're thinking these things. And then they can't figure out how come they seem to be at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to getting promotions. So, for example, take the case of the use of the word like, putting it in 4 times a sentence, as you have often heard somebody 22, 23, or older do. Well, we don't tell them that it's driving us nuts. But the fact is, I can't stay in a conversation very long with somebody who uses like 4 or 5 times in a sentence, and I certainly don't want to be a coworker with that person. I'd go stark raving mad within 2 weeks. The book tells them, don't do that.
Now, Mr. Murray, for young people out there, and I use Mr. Murray because I read this from your book, you got to be very careful about how you address people who are senior to you in the workplace. Is this a problem for young kids today coming out of college, maybe being a little bit too not formal enough with their superiors in the workplace?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you walk into your job interview and the guy interviewing, let's say it's a guy and he's 50 years old, if you walk up to him and say, Roger, it's just great to meet you, I don't think that that's going to go over too well. Now, Roger may not, again, tell you that he doesn't really like people calling him by his first name when they first meet him, especially when, in his view, they're barely out of diapers. Don't call somebody by their last name if they're considerably older than you until you're asked to do it. And sometimes you shouldn't even do it then.
Fair enough, and good advice out there. And it's always hard to reach that middle ground with people who are your senior. You want to show them respect, but also you want to kind of level the playing field. So you got to let the invitation come from them before you address them as your.
Of course, what was very curious in Congress, and I was elected at age 36, senior staffers, the nomenclature everyone serving is Mr. someone. And that was kind of wild getting there. Oh, Mr. Hayworth, here's your seat. And that was kind of interesting to me. Charles, you know that I can't leave this alone politically. Are there specific rules for survival in the Obama era, given the difficulties we have now finding jobs to begin with?
No, this is a very non-political book in that regard. When it comes to the fact that it's a tough job market, here I am talking to young upper middle class kids who are still living at home because they don't have the job of their dreams. And I'm saying to them, forget about the job of your dreams. Leave home. Get out of the nest. You're 22, 23 years old. You're out of college. For heaven's sakes, this is the moment at which you're supposed to start your adult life. It's exciting. But it can't be all that exciting if you're still living with mom and dad. So don't worry if it's a job that is beneath you or not. Take the job. Go out and rent your own little apartment. It will not be the style to which you have been accustomed. Fine, get accustomed to a new style, but get out of the house.
You know, I appreciate that advice, Charles, because, well, it may be something at the Hayworth Hacienda we need to look at. Charles Murray, we appreciate the book, The Curmudgeon's Guide to Getting Ahead, Do's and Don'ts of Right Behavior, Tough Thinking, Clear Writing, and Living a Good Life. And Charles, we wish you a blessed Easter, and America's Forum is coming back. What do you think about getting kids out of the house? We'd love to hear from you. You can get to us via social media. At Newsmax TV on Twitter, and you use the hashtag America's Forum. Of course, emails also invited. Connect at newsmaxtv.com, and there is Facebook. We're coming back.